time connections stronger than the storm. I am here with a special guest, and her name is Andrea. She is going to tell her story. And thank you, Andrea, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
And
for having me.
please, you're welcome. Please tell your story. Start it from the beginning.
Okay. So, gosh, where do we begin? I think we'll begin with um I was born into dysfunction, and I talk about this every day to other people. I think it's important that we normalize the fact that what is familiar to us, we recreate. We recreate it.
It
So,
makes sense. That's all we know, right?
right, until we know
Mhm.
better. And sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes we get to know better and evolve, and sometimes we don't. So, I am a person who is estranged from my mother, the person who gave birth to me. I don't really call her a mother. Um, and I made the decision multiple times, but the most recent time in 2022 to limit my access, limit my firstborn's access to me. And at this point, he was going on 30 years old. And actually, I had gone to um, a doctor's appointment on this particular day. It was in November. I'd gone to a doctor's appointment, and this Caucasian psychologist, and I'm saying that for a reason, and I think her name was, it was like a more ethnic sounding name, but she said to me, you got to let your son go. You got to let your son go.
Mm.
He's going to kill you. So, like I said, that wasn't the first time that I had heard that. My One of my doctors had told me that before, during COVID. So again, at at this time, still a full grown adult, although he does have a diagnosis of autism. So I gave him, I cut him a little bit more slack because he does have autism. However, I also used to be a special education teacher, and I took a moment. I remember on that day when this person said, you got to let him go. I remember reflecting on some of the kids that I've worked with, um, and not just kids that I think of it now, adults too, because I've actually worked with adults with special needs too. And I remembered, like, those people who had, autism, like, they weren't hateful towards me. And if they were hateful towards me, their autism wasn't the reason for that. So
Mhm.
so that was like a pivotal moment. Um, so flash forward back to that day in November, I came back home um, to my apartment. Mind you, I had given up not one, but two good jobs. I had moved back to the United States from Asia to be of assistance to my son,
Mhm.
only to realize that he doesn't really love me for real. He likes having he just liked having access. And so I chose me. But when I came back home that day, I told him, I was like, yo, bro, we're gonna have to, we're gonna have to work on separating. I told him, I said, some some people don't do well together. And so he tried to get a little puffed up. Um, so we don't do well together? Nope, we don't.
Mm.
We don't. And I told him, I think I was going to give him like maybe 3 weeks. I was like, so I'm going to give you 3 weeks, you know what I mean? So that you can do whatever it is that you need to do. I'm going to do what I need to do. We're going to ride out. Now, throughout his lifetime, he's his behavior choices were at at times and way too many times very abusive towards me, which is a behavior that was taught to him by his father, his maternal grandmother, my mother, and his paternal grandparents. And I tolerated it when he was not of age. And I tolerated it because he wasn't of age. Mind you, I had him in therapy his whole life. So we knew right from wrong. We knew right from wrong. But I gave him way too many chances that I'm getting a little teary, but I'm not going to cry. But I gave him way too many chances and used some of my most precious resources, myself being the most precious resource, um, on somebody who, at some point in his life, like he had decided he was never going to have any good intentions towards me. However,
What age did you see that?
um, I'm trying to think. Like, I think I think that it was clear. I think it was becoming more and more clear by the time he was in fourth grade. To be honest,
Mm.
yeah.
And okay, so you said that you made a decision that that's it, enough. I had
Hmm.
it. What was the
Hmm.
last straw? What did
Okay,
he do
amazing
that you
question.
was fed up?
So one, he had he used my vulnerability to his benefit. So he know. So of course, any decent parent wants their offspring to make it and be successful. And so,
Of course, yes.
he knew that he needed, case management services, medication management, um, substance abuse counseling, and therapy at minimum. At minimum. And when I was in Asia, there had been an incident where he um, had a kerfuffle with the police. He presented the issue to me as if something wrong had happened to him. So there's that. Then,
Mhm.
I was like, okay, get a restraining order, file a police report, et cetera, et cetera. Follow the legal realm. Then he presented it as if, the police wasn't helping him. Again, using a vulnerability. Because I'm a social worker. Prior to that, I was a special ed teacher. Prior to that, I was in the Army.
Right.
So protecting and serving is what I do. So He was like, I just need you to come back home. I'm gonna do right. I'm gonna do well, etc., etc. Um, and I believed him before I believed myself. The
Once
other,
again,
but I'm sorry.
I said once again.
Right. So what's the other part? Oh, the other part is, unfortunately, having a child doesn't make you a parent. So he knew, like, his father, not a good person. And my son had told me some things that had happened with his father that I believe. So the final straw was, I'm in my apartment. It's not big. Um, but I had gotten that apartment specifically um, for him to live with me, which you and I talked about a little bit when we talked on the phone.
Mm.
And he's in the
Yes.
kitchen. I'm in the kitchen. He's in the kitchen. He's on the phone with his father, and I don't rock with him at all. And my kid knows why. But you have alleged that you don't rock with him either. But what that showed me was the only thing he knew was what he'd already done. So I think that he was clinically attempting to self regulate by, creating a war, reigniting a war between his father and I.
Hmm.
But you're damn near 30. So I don't need to deal with him. In addition, in every place that you could have gone and talked to him, you wanted to do it like right where I was. So that just, again, just saying, like, you can't slick a can of grease. You can't slick a can of oil. Like, I know what game is. And so that was like, that was the final, that was the final straw for me. That was the final straw because I did give up a really, I had a very decent life in Asia that I did give up um, to help him. And some things that happened, um, he was supposed to pay rent. He had money for, and here's this. I only had him to pay rent because he would get some money, the first of the month. And like a month before that, it was the first of the month. And it was like, um, it wasn't even like noon. And he had already run through a significant amount of money, like almost, almost $1,000. And so I was like, okay, if you have money like that to throw away, then hell, you can contribute to where you live and how you live. So
Right.
that's how I came
Hmm.
came up with that. But he wasn't. I mean, he just wasn't doing right. Like the movie Life, the guy who with special needs who couldn't talk, who ended up being a really good bass player, and they called him "Can't Get Right." Like that, he just can't get right. Like he
Hmm.
could always find himself in trouble, could always easily get into that, but couldn't seem to get out of it. Um, and I haven't been able to have a whole lot of constants in my life. However, having my education and having a career, that was a constant that I was able to somewhat control. So the other thing is that there were a bunch of indiscretions before we got to a place of him being on the phone with someone that was definitely my nemesis, because if you don't mean well by my kids, I don't I can't fuck with you. Um,
Right.
but I also had a I was working, I worked remote, and I had created an office that was like out of the way of the regular flow of the space. And he would, you know what I'm saying, he would find his way in there, like using the bathroom, taking a shower. So it's like, do you like me for real? Like, I don't even think you like me for real. Like, you gonna leave me like with nothing. So at some point, you have to decide you're going to be wise with your resources. And I realized that I wasn't necessarily being wise with my resources as far as sharing them with him. And and I drew the line. And it's been like the most peaceful time of my life since he's been born. So
I understand.
I wish that I had, you know, maybe bet on me long ago, um, rather than putting him first, his needs first, both of my children's needs
Right.
before my own,
Hmm.
um, because I would be where I want to be. Like, I'm not where I want to be yet, and that's because I made, every car that I drove was based on the needs of my children. The houses that I either bought or rented based on the needs of my children,
Hmm.
like the school based on, like, everything I did based on the needs of them.
Hmm.
And it's the right thing to do, but we know everybody doesn't do that. Everybody doesn't care about their children, and they still turn out okay.
Hmm.
Um, but you would think that by taking care of your children, that at some point, you're going to be okay, right? You're not thinking that that this is unending, and you're not going to be able to benefit from your own resources. So
It's
that's what that
tough.
was.
Yeah.
It
Did
is.
you go through a grief?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because something that he got, behavior that he's inherited from other people that were close in my life is, which, again, if you have a parent that's a sociopath or a narcissist, it's not really about you. It's always about them. So
Hmm.
when I grew up, like, if I did have a birthday party that my mother had given me, like, I was definitely going to get a spanking later. Like, at some point, me having had a good time was going to be paid for by her collecting the debt from her putting her hands on me. So he had learned the same thing. So, like, one of the things is that I never really tell people. I do now because I've gotten over it, but I wouldn't really tell people when my birthday was, because I'm used to people.
Hmm.
I was used to people in my life, like, making sure that my birthday was horrible. So, same year, he called me on my birthday, and he liked to call me whore, right? Like, he liked to do these things over the phone, because he would never do it face to face, because I don't play. Um,
Right.
but anyway, this year he called me on my birthday and was talking all ugly and greasy and all that other kind of stuff. And I told him, I was like, dude, like, at this point, like, nigga, you know what I'm saying? Because at this point, we both on the block. Like, you on the block, I'm on the block. We're gonna talk like we on the blocks. I'm like, nigga, like, at what point do you get tired? Like, you're still doing the same stuff that you did in elementary school, middle school, high school. Like, you still doing it. Like, I told him, at least, I remember saying this. I said, at least. even a clown at the circus is going to change the routine up just a little bit night by night. You know what I'm saying? To make sure you get paid,
Hmm.
right? Like you don't, if it's an act that's good, you repeat it. If it's not an act that's good, sort of change it up a little bit so you can get the people. And I was like, so at the very least, like change up what you do. And he didn't receive that well. And I told him, you know what? This is what we can do. I was like, you can have my name removed off of your birth certificate. Like we can both walk away and pretend like this never happened. And so that
Let me
made,
ask you something. Let me ask you
yep,
something. When was the last time you talked to him before he called you on your birthday?
the day before Thanksgiving, where I had to uninvite him because he was attempting to create a havoc so he could call the police because that's one thing he had been doing since he was a
Hmm.
kid. Had been taught that, call the police on me. Um, but I had told him that day when we were in the apartment because he was trying to get a little puffy. I told him, you can get as puffy as you want. Like, how I'm talking is how I'm going to talk because I'm really at a point where I just don't care. Like, I don't care enough to get into a kerfuffle with you. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you get tired,
No. Yeah. Enough is enough.
that's it.
You've
Yeah.
been
And
going
then,
through this for years.
he's been in the mental hospital before, paid for by my dime. And, and this is also, a shame on the providers in the various facilities that he was in, but I guess he's a narcissist, and which I don't get it because I see narcissists and I know a narcissist when I see a narcissist, and I'm a professional, but I digress. But he would, convince the people, enough of the people in the facility that I was his problem. So it's like I would spend way too much time reminding them that I'm not the problem, which kept us from addressing the problem. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
And so now, I mean, and so his whole life, he's put out narratives about me that aren't true. Um, and I didn't care. Um, and I just really got to a place like I really don't care. Like whatever it is, whatever you say it is, that's what it is. Whatever you need it to be, okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, when's the last time you spoke to him?
So so this has been going on for years. Let me preface this with that. So it's impacted my ability to build and nurture healthy relationships because you're so me, I was so exhausted from dealing with this highly problematic child that, fight, flight, or freeze, baby, I'd be frozen. Like I didn't have the energy. Like, and then at some point back in the day, I was also embarrassed. Um, and I've always been protective over other people, so I didn't let other people in because I didn't want to compromise them. Um, and like I said, I have some regret around that because I did, I did spend 29 years, um, pouring into a vessel that has a hole in the bottom, and I can't recoup that. I can't recoup that. Um, and so to answer your question, I wanted to preface it with that.
Mhm.
So maybe about, it might have been like 2 years ago. One of his best friends, they probably ain't friends now, babe, because he can't hold on to nothing but a bad habit. um, had reached out to me, and when they reached out, I sort of collapsed because I thought that maybe they were calling me to tell me that my son had been successful in like taking his life, or he had been in an accident or something like that,
Hmm.
because we have had those instances. Then come to find out that, my son is sitting there right with him and really just called me to harass me.
The friend.
So yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So I use some very finely tuned um, expletives to let them both know, like, yo, I'm neither the one nor the two. And I also let them know, because so I used to. The reason why I remember I was saying that is because I used to would like change my number. So like I've changed my number. I've like, I had Facebook since 2008, but there's been times like I've like just shut down my Facebook, like my social media. Like it just causes you to be very isolated. But I decided that, people can be really bold in their wrong behavior. They can be real bold in their ignorance and their entitlement, in their unrighteous indignation. And so, if you can be bold in your wrongness, I can be bold in my rightness. So, on that day, I let them know, like, nigga, I ain't changing my cell phone number anymore. I'm done. Um, I'm not
Hmm.
shutting down my social media. I'm done. And it's whatever you want. Like, it's like that. Like, it's indifferent. So there was that. And
When
then,
the friend, let me,
go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Mm-mm.
what did the friend say when he called? Because your son is sitting right next to him, right?
Right. They said that they
Okay.
were calling about his passport or something stupid. I do not know. But this friend has known us like since my kid was in middle school. So they know what it is. And I just let them know, like, first off, he didn't have guts for all that. Like you sitting there with my son and you allowing him to pipe you up. Um, but I'm that girl. Do you know what I mean? So like you really don't want this smoke for real. So that set him straight.
Good.
Yeah.
That's the last time he will be calling.
Oh, for sure. And I've let people know, and I've let people know since then, and I let people know that I am a controlled chaos. I'm a controlled chaos. Like it's nothing that anybody can do that's gonna really make me lose my shit. Like I've seen it all and done the rest. Um, and I had a real strong affinity for my son. He was a micro preemie. He was a micro preemie, and he was my first kid. So when he was born, he weighed 1 pound and 8 ounces. You know, he was in the hospital for the
Oh wow.
first 100 days of his life.
Hmm.
I didn't know, I didn't really know what love was before that point. So my son was my first love. And I never would have, you could have never told me that I would be estranged from something that I carried. Like you could have never told me that. Um, but I've had to, and I tell myself, who he is now. That's not who I gave birth to. You know, he's chosen. He's chosen to do what's been done in his father's family, in my family, and now with him. Like we're used to estrangement. It takes real courage to. It takes real courage to be something
It's not
different than
easy,
what you were taught. Yeah.
right?
So so
But
that's
you
enough for
have to
me.
love yourself.
Oh, for sure. And But see, that's the thing. See, that's a little sticky widget right there, though. Because when you love your child, you do love yourself because that child came from you. This ain't the same as, you know what I'm saying? This ain't the same as, you know what I'm saying, like a relationship with some
That's
dude or
it.
some
Yeah.
girl or a coworker or
Right.
like this came from me.
Right.
So to love you is to love me. But what I had to
And like
learn,
you said, this is your first love, your
it was my
baby.
first love.
This is the
Yeah.
first.
But
Yeah.
here's the caveat, Alicia. This is what I had to learn. I had to learn to love me more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that on
Mm-hmm.
that. And that's that on that.
Mm-hmm.
And he did try to boss up. He does try to boss up every now and again. You know what I'm saying? He'll come on to my social media, and tell people, like he'll put on there again, it's the same thing my mama used to call me, baby, a whore. Like, you think you gonna hurt me? My mama said the same thing. So, he will come on there and write stuff about me that's not true. And it really doesn't bother me. It just like annoys me. It's like a gnat or a fly at a barbecue. It's annoying. Um, However, I've gotten to a point now where like he's not even a second, third, fourth, fifth, 100th thought because the highest vibration is love. And and even on my worst days as a mom, I didn't do anything to deserve his lack of regard for me. So I don't have any space for it in my life. And I made a promise. I made a promise to that which I believe to be the most high, that if it gave me, energy and strength, because I am, I do have chronic illness. Um, I'm going through menopause, and I made a promise that if God gave me back that energy, that I would be of service to all kids and not just, the kids that came from my womb. And I've been doing that, I've written a book. I've relaunched a business. I've written articles for reputable places. I had one of my articles was in Black Enterprise magazine. Um, so that's how I spend my time. And since then, I've been really loud about telling people that we do create what we know, and we can decide to leverage those things that brought us pain to create something different. And that's what I do. That's what I do.
Tell me more about your book,
So it is. I can get it real quick. It's right here. It's three girls.
please.
The daughters of Fatback and the Okra Thief. I have been writing it for like 29 years, but I finally, after I didn't have the aggravation of my son's ill behavior, I was able to, which was really hard, I was able to sit down and finish the book. But, oh, sorry, baby. I wrote the book
Mhm.
because so, we're taught survival of the fittest, right? And we think about it, excuse me, as it relates to animals, right? But the
Mhm.
truth is, it's relevant to us. So if you think about survival of the fittest as it relates to animals, right? Like animals, they move as a crew. They move as a clan. They move as a tribe. They move as a
Mhm.
unit, and they are, in theory, weakest when when they're alone. And as I like reflected on my life, two things happened. One, In 2019, again, connected to my son, being taken to court yet again. And come to find out, this is when I found out that the woman who gave birth to me had been my op. She'd always been my op. I left home 15. This hoe's still checking for me. So she had been paying for their father, whom I had divorced, to take me to court 3 and 4 times a year, every year. This fool couldn't pay child support, but he had a better lawyer than me. Come to find out, the person who gave birth to me was doing that. So I
Wow.
hired a private. Right. So let's get into it. So I hired a private detective at that time, and at the age of, I think, 48, I learned that I was kidnapped. The woman who gave birth to
Hmm.
me lost custody of me. My father, who was a good man, had custody of me, and our mother had just abandoned us. He's a good man. His father died when he was young, and so he has a huge, you know what I'm saying? He's deceased now, but he had a big respect for family, right? So when our mother came from the District of Columbia, which she never did, and said she wanted to spend time with us, he was like, okay. Well, she took us across state lines, across state lines, across state lines, across state lines. And she kept me, it's three of us, I'm the youngest. She kept all three of us. However, her husband that she had couldn't keep his hands to himself. And my sister, the oldest one, was obviously telling her about this. And I learned that, which is in my book, she, gathers my sister up. She's no longer with us on this realm. Gloria drives her to the Carolinas. This was in the 70s, on a dirt road, drops her off, no phone, no nothing, because she kept telling her that her husband couldn't keep his hands to himself. Um, The other thing she did a multitude of things. She took us to DC. She lied to the DC courts with a toxic friend, saying that she had fled South Carolina with us because her husband, that husband, my father, had been abusive. Again, it wasn't true, but this was in the 70s. I was born in 71. And so, of course, we didn't have facts. And they ain't gonna cross communicate, especially not on the strength of no black kids and no black man to find out what is really what. But she was so diabolical that she also put him on child support, which, of course, he didn't pay. He had gotten in arrears in child support. And so then she was like, at some point, I can either forgive your arrears and you give up custody or your parental rights to me and the other sibling, or you're gonna go to jail. So he gave up parental rights. Um, and so I get court documents in 2019 that has me going to court about guardianship over my son, and this lady's name is on it. My kids weren't raised with her.
Hmm.
I left home at 15. So again, I hired a private detective, learned that I had been kidnapped. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, if somebody had maybe told me this, I might have saved a lot of money on therapy bills, but okay. And then I reflected on how, like, family, like elders, um, they treated me bad. They would talk about me, even as a child. At one point, I was homeless as a child because, again, I didn't know that my dad was my dad. And I'm like eating out of the trash can. Like, none of them gave me a place to stay. It's like they had so much to say about me. Which here's, let's just be clear. When a person ain't loyal, they ain't loyal to nobody. So they might be talking about you on Tuesday, baby, but they talking about somebody else on Thursday. So I want to make sure that's clear. But I had
Right.
another family member die, and I wanted them to know that all this time, like, first off, I saw what y'all were doing when I was a kid. And second off, I want you to know that I know because I'm petty. And so I was talking to an aunt by marriage, and I think she might have got tired of me talking about it. I don't know. But baby, she said, write a book. And I was like, okay. And, um, and I said I was going to finish the book before another elder died. And I did. And, um, and before I did that, I actually, because it had started off as a letter, I had written, it was like a 5, 6 page letter to a specific aunt and uncle that like their behavior like disgusted me as a woman. And so I wrote the letter because I know that the Most High was like, write the letter. And baby, I was gonna send it. And the Most High was like, I ain't say for you to send it. And I'm like, well, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, they gotta know. I didn't send it. I did file it at the Library of Congress. Yes, I did. Just in case somebody left before then so that they could know, yeah, I had this I had this in the books. And then I just like rolled up my sleeves and I recalled, some horrible experiences and wrote about them, not to say, and I didn't use real names for most people, right?
Right.
Because I
Hmm.
don't like your karma, your memory, that's that's gonna get you. Like I don't need to get you. I'd like to see you get God, but I'm not. And so I finished the book. It was really hard. Like I definitely had some serious challenges with depression and anxiety. Um, like going through this process. And then I had a person who had known me since high school that was like, Angie, because that's my nickname, you should try to get on this thing, Unfiltered Stories, because I think it, will be good. And I was like, okay. And I tried and I did get on there. And my trauma narrative, I need to look it up. The last time I looked, it's been about 5 months, but it had over 1.5 million views and people
Wow.
saying like, you telling my story like that happened to me. And so
Hmm.
that sort of fanned my wings a little bit to, okay, keep going because your pain can be of assistance to others. And so that's what I do.
And that's
That's
why
what I do.
I do this, because we all have a story. And if you can help one person, and I love bringing women together.
Mhm.
There's no judgments over here. I just want you, all the women that come on my platform, to shine, tell their story. Okay, so how do you trust people after going through what you went through?
um I trust people appropriately, right? Like I'm a real good judge of character. I study human behavior. Like I've been studying human behavior as an unprofessional since I was like 3, got kidnapped, right? And then, I went to school. I've been degreed for over 30 years. So I study people's behavior. So trust is earned. And if you are somebody who, puts in the work, then I'm gonna trust you until it's otherwise. Um,
Right.
I don't like I'm very stubborn and if you got a lick on me once, baby, you ain't going to get a lick again. So for me to not, which I'm not doing it the way that I want to again, but for me to not live the full breadth of my life is to give the woman who gave birth to me way too much credit. Like you didn't handle me right when I was in utero. You didn't handle me right when I was first born. You didn't handle me right my whole life. So why would I engage with people from the pain that you gave me? That's you still winning. Um, and that's what I'm saying. That's that on that. I do give people a chance. I probably give people way more chances than, in fact, I know I do. I give people way more chances than they deserve because I have been through a lot. So very little excites me. However, just because it doesn't excite me doesn't mean that it shouldn't. So, um, so that's, I stay in therapy. I'm a therapist with a therapist. I think everybody should have one. Um,
Agree.
and again, I believe that the highest vibration is love. And I believe that, what I call God is love. And for me to not trust people and engage with people, I think is to do a disservice to my life and to, the people who come after me. But I really, I don't really want somebody who is really not significant. And not just for the person who gave birth to me, like even my son. Like if you're not that significant, I don't want you to have all that kind of power over me. That's weird. I don't want you to, you
Right.
don't deserve it. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
Andrea, right?
Andrea. Hmm.
Andrea.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, the woman you are today,
Hmm.
what's different about you
Then what?
from your past?
Um, I'm not a people pleaser.
Hmm.
When your first bully is your parent, you are indirectly taught that you have to work to get people's love. So I would say that this woman, like I'm not performative at all, at all. Just because you buy me a birthday gift, don't mean I'm gonna get you a birthday gift. If I want to get you a birthday gift, I'm gonna get you a birthday gift. If we talked about exchanging birthday gifts, I'm gonna get you a birthday gift. But just because you do something for me, it doesn't mean I'm gonna do the same for you. I am no longer performative. And I will say that since 2019, when I got those court papers, like I did have a best friend or two dismiss them. Because another thing that I know from my own experiences is that everybody who is over 21 is not an adult. Just because you're over 21 or 18 or whatever, that does not mean you're an adult. And I think that people, and this is connected, people get into like cults and, deep religion and hoodoo and all, sometimes because they would rather be told what to do from somebody else than take accountability for themselves.
Hmm.
And so I think that we, need to be aware of that because people, will try to be adjacent to you because they think you look like money or, um,
Hmm.
they know that you're a giver. And at this point, I don't make any apologies. Like if the time is up for me and you, the time is up. Like I don't I'm not going to go back and forth with you men, women, pastor. Like I'm not like um I don't need anybody's validation to tell me what I see or what I heard or what I know. If you do validate me, cool. But if you don't, cool. So I think I know that this woman I'm very unapologetic. If I don't feel good, I don't feel good. I'm not going to be like, like, um,
Hmm.
and I, and I know, and I'm gonna be honest, aside from chronic illness and stuff, like I like who I've become. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not proud of a lot, but I'm proud of um how I show up, and I'm intentional. about how I show up. Like I have this shirt that says really her because I realize that some people, you know what I'm saying? They got their job personality, they got their bowling personality, they got their church personality, they got their boy, that ain't me. Like if I'm a different person when all these people come around, I'm not me. Now, can I be like a different version of me? Yeah, but you gonna still know it's me. Like it's not gonna be like, well, dang, who are you? You know, it's still me. So
Right.
I would say that's what it is. Like I don't apologize. The person that I had children with died in January.
Mm.
I wrote
How
a
do you feel
post.
about that?
There was a part I felt relieved. I felt
Mm.
relieved. But then I went through some grief because because that's the kind of person I am, right? Like even if I don't like you and I don't agree with what you do, that doesn't take away my me from being humane, right? Like I'm not going to be like, "Oh, because I don't like you, you should get all the darts thrown at you." No, you still deserve what's just, right? So initially I was a little sad, which blew me. Um, but I worked on that. Um, but anyway, my point was I had written this like really long post on social media about, us making kids together and some of the, fuck ups that we had. And somebody, I guess, baby, it must, as my grandma would say, a hit dog will holler. So this person I don't even know was like, they're still somebody's child. So I'm like, Ann, that doesn't take away from what I'm still saying. Like, you switch up.
Right.
I'm still saying what
These
I'm
are your
saying.
feelings.
Right. And the other thing is, I don't, I've never been this way. Like, I'm not going to pretend one thing when you're around and then another thing when you're not. If I have to say something about you when you're not around, I'm also going to say it to you face to face. In fact, I'm not even going to say anything about you when you're not around that I wouldn't say to you face to face. Um, but again, I realized that was that person's issues. And but I also say that to say, people do try to influence maybe how you show up, but your first and your last breath, like that's all you. That's all you. Like you can't nobody else can do it with me. Like it's me. Um and so I have to be comfortable with what I see in the mirror, and nothing has ever been more important to me than that. So even the moves that I made as a married woman, as a mom, as an educator, as a social worker, as a like I got to be able to look at me. So even if I made a move that in 25 years from now that I wouldn't make now, the truth is when I made that move back then, I thought that that was the best thing to do. And so for me, that just makes life way easier. Like I don't have to memorize no lies. I don't have to I don't have to
Right.
remember a lot. Like this is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Did that answer your question?
It did.
Okay.
It did. Okay, so what's next for you?
I really am I really I really am wanting to do speaking that that changes some things. So I really want to, challenge our judicial system because it let me down. You know what I'm saying? It let my son down. It let my daughter down.
Mhm.
It, and I've worked with
Mm.
enough people to know that though it may feel personal, that's what happens, right? Like so I used to be a special ed teacher. and I was naive. It's like the schools that don't have enough, they may get grants and scholarships and da, da, da. However, just because they get that doesn't mean that the people who are handling those resources, it doesn't mean that they're doing right by those resources. So what I've seen time and again, it is the little person, the underdog, always being taken advantage of. And I don't believe that that's by chance. I believe that it's by design. And I would like to be a person who goes in and has like real conversations so that what is given is appropriately utilized. Like that's what I'm attempting to do. And aside from that, like chill real hard and
You need to
travel.
do that.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
And
That's it,
you know what? We didn't touch bases on your daughter.
Mhm.
Is she, with everything going on, how is she? Is
Everything
she
going on like
close to
what?
her brother?
Oh no,
Is
no,
she
no.
close to her?
Yeah, no, no, she's not because
No.
he, like I said, a person is gonna be okay. I can't do that. My phone's about to die. A person is gonna be who they are.
Okay.
So if you're disloyal, you're disloyal.
Okay.
Um, so but the other thing is that I've made it clear to her like if she can have a relationship with him, that's fine, right? But in order for if in order for me and her to have a relationship, I got to have a relationship with him. I'll pass, um,
Yeah.
because at this point, you know what I'm saying. I'm in the evening hours of life, um, and at the very minimum, I would like to have everything that I worked for and earned. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Andrea, I know you said your phone is going to die, but I want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. Is there a
Absolutely.
website, your
Oh
social
yes.
media? Please share.
Okay, so my website, which has all of my social media, is
Mhm.
www dot the word the and then the word boho therapist.org. And that has all of my social media, um, everything you need to know about me.
Okay. And wait, real quick, can you tell everyone your occupation?
hmm So I am a social worker who I have a private practice. So I work with people, especially people who've had trauma. I work with them and
Mm.
I am in the process. I just finished a certification to be a Florida Supreme Court mediator, and what I'm working on now is I want to do more forensic social work, helping
Mm.
people in systems. Um, you know, excuse me, doing assessments on kids, women, men who might have been assaulted. So like that's what I'm ready to that's what I'm working on doing now.
Okay, do you take clients in person or
hmm
virtually?
I see. So I live in Florida, and I have
Okay.
uh, an office in Florida. However, I'm licensed in like 10 or 11 states. So I see people from all of those states virtually. Although I am working to get an in-person office in the Maryland, DC area, which is where I'm from.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think you need to come back on this show
I will.
because remember, because I really enjoyed you and
Thank
you have
you.
a story. I
Thank
really
you.
did. And we're gonna do something together,
I hope
hopefully.
so. I hope so. I
Okay.
hope so.
Well, have
Okay.
a
And I
wonderful
also
day.
do,
Thank you.
let me add this too. I also
Yeah.
do groups, right? So I'm looking like for participants who want to be in a therapeutic support group for parents that are estranged from their adult children, right? A therapeutic support group for people who have survived sexual assault. So that's something that I do and want to do more of as well.
Is
If I
that
can use my pain.
is
Mhm,
that on your website?
yes.
Okay. Mm.
Yep.
Go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying if I can use the things that broke me to help someone else to not commit suicide or not think low of themselves, then then the pain was worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you again.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Everyone, like, share, do the all and subscribe, do all the
Yep.
YouTube stuff and follow. Follow.
Yep.
What is your name of your business? Real quick.
So the name of my business is Bloomed Within. But I also have a
Okay.
podcast and a YouTube channel. Someone has to be brave. So follow me there, subscribe for more of these
I
stories. I'm
will.
actually going to start reading some of the chapters of my book on Someone Has to Be Brave, and let's get it.
Y- Do me a favor, text me your
Mhm.
YouTube
Okay,
channel.
I will.
And oh, okay. I don't want the phone to
All
die.
right, baby.
Talk to you
Okay.
later.
All right, mommy.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You're welcome.